Today, I want to talk about why your T4 medication just simply isn't working, especially if you have had a partial or a total thyroidectomy. So I see a lot of questions come in from people that say they have had a total thyroidectomy, radioactive iodine, a partial thyroidectomy, and their doctor put them on Levo, T4, Synthroid, Levoxyl, and they're on it and they're on it, and their doctor just keeps raising their dose and raising their dose, and nothing is changing. Sure, their TSH is going down, the free T4 looks all pretty, and that's probably where their doctors are stopping testing. So if you're stuck on T4, most likely you're not getting your free T3 and reverse T3 tested, but neither here nor there. You're not feeling any better. You are stuck on T4. So here's why that doesn't work. If we think about the mechanism, the biological mechanism of the pituitary and the hypothalamus and what TSH is and whether you have a thyroid or lack of a thyroid. So let's do if you have a thyroid first, right? So you have a thyroid, your T4 isn't working, you're still suffering with symptoms, you have not lost any weight whatsoever, and you are only on T4 and your doctor keeps increasing your dose. Okay. So in that case, what we have to think about is your thyroid gland, when it was functioning properly, I know you still have it, right? So you were diagnosed with Hashimoto's, hypothyroidism, something is not working properly. If it's Hashimoto's, your thyroid gland's getting attacked by antibodies. If it's secondary hypothyroidism, for whatever reason, whether it was medication or stress or over-exercising, whatever brought on this condition of hypothyroidism, your thyroid gland is not functioning properly. So primary or secondary hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's, your thyroid gland isn't functioning properly. That's the bottom line. And you are not making the proper amounts of T4 and T3 that a healthy thyroid gland does. So in conventional medicine, what they do is they put you on T4, and now that T4 must convert over into the active form of T3. T4 is a storage hormone. That is your storage thyroid hormone. It is inactive. There are no receptors on your cells for T4 medication. You only have receptor sites on your cells for T3. So that T4 must go through a conversion process, a deiodinization process, where we are removing an iodine atom and we are converting it over into T3. Now, we're not going to get into everything that's required, such as proper amounts of selenium and magnesium and iodine. Just know that it has to convert over. So if we're just giving you T4, 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 then obviously that's not going to do its job if it's not converting properly over into the active thyroid hormone T3. So that T3 is what has to get into your cell. That is that your cells have receptor sites on them for the thyroid hormone T3. So that's what has to get into the cell. What if you're not converting? So that's problem number one. So we're giving you T4. We just keep increasing the dose, and we're never checking your reverse T3. We're never checking your free T3. We're never even seeing whether or not that T4 that we keep pumping into your system is even converting or not. And we're just, again, this is my phrase, crossing our fingers and wishing on a rainbow that you feel better. And then you keep going back to your doctor and you keep saying, I'm not feeling better. Oh, well, let's go to 112. Oh, well, let's go to 175. Whatever it is, you just keep increasing your dose and crossing your fingers and wishing on a rainbow that it converts. And per your doctor, hey, you should be converting fine. You still have a thyroid gland. It's still producing some T3. It's still producing some of its own thyroid hormone. We're just supplementing with what's not there. And then we're looking at the TSH, and TSH is thyroid stimulating hormone. It is released by the pituitary gland. There is a negative feedback loop that occurs. And of course, the pituitary says everything is cool here because you have 175 milligrams of T4 being pumped into your body exogenously in the form of your Synthroid. So I don't know, everything looks good for me. So the pituitary stops sending out that TSH and your TSH goes down. So your doctor thinks your TSH looks pretty. And maybe your free T4 even goes up. And well, yeah, of course, because you're pumping your body full of T4 medication. No one's looking at the free T3 or the reverse T3. And you stay in the Synthroid box, in that T4 box, never, ever, ever feeling better. So that's if you have a thyroid gland. For my partial and total thyroidectomy patients. Well, actually, you know what? The partial thyroidectomy, I could put you in the group with the hypothyroidism and the Hashimoto's, because you still have a portion of your thyroid. Listen, we could look at Hashimoto patients and say they probably only have half of a thyroid gland too, just from the years of destruction and basically shrinking down the thyroid gland. So partial thyroidectomy patients, you're in that first group. Total thyroidectomy, you do not have a thyroid gland. No longer. You don't have one. Does TSH even matter? Based on what I just explained, and my good friend, admin of the Attuned Thyroid, Donna Grant, she sent me the greatest picture ever. I'll have to try to pull it up here as I'm talking to you guys. Not that you can see it, but I can at least, share it with you. So when we think about the mechanism of the pituitary sends out a message to the thyroid gland, right? The thyroid gland. So if you don't have a thyroid gland, what's the pituitary sending out TSH for? There's really no point, is there? So for my total thyroidectomy patients, I'm still looking for this. Donna, you might have to send this to me again if you're listening. Oh, wait, there it is. Okay. Hold on, folks. I know for my podcast listeners, I'm just going to have to explain it, but it's this group of men laughing and screaming. It says, we keep testing the TSH even when we know they have no thyroid. And they're all just like laughing and slapping each other on the back, a bunch of doctors. Okay. It's pointless. It is completely pointless at that point to test your TSH. Now it gets even more pointless because now you have removed the gland that once made 80% roughly T4 and roughly 20% T3. Your thyroid gland made a little bit of T3. Yes, it did. It's no longer there. Now you have zero active thyroid hormone being produced by your body. And again, we're giving you T4, crossing our fingers and wishing on a rainbow that converts over into the active form, T3, to get into your cells, to give you metabolism, to grow your hair and strengthen your nails and improve your mood. Okay, well, if we remove your thyroid gland, why don't we replace it with the same thing that it once made? So if it once made T4 and T3, why don't we give you thyroidectomy patients or radioactive iodine patients? Why don't we give you T4 and T3? Because that's what it once did. So why don't we replace it? 1-to-1 ratio. So that is my problem with using T4 only with anybody, but especially my total thyroidectomy and partial thyroidectomy patients. But also, listen, Hashimoto's, hypothyroidism, why are we pumping up your T4 and not checking the reverse T3 and the free T3? Why are we asking you just how are you feeling? If we keep increasing your dose and you're not feeling any better, that's a red flag. It's a red flag for you as a patient to run and find a practitioner that knows what they're doing. And then it's a red flag for us practitioners to listen to you as a patient. So I hope this helps. This is why your T4 is not working. There are many conversion issues. T4 must convert into the active form of T3. We have to check free T3 and reverse T3. And then, of course, you can always listen to one of my other videos or podcasts on all about reverse T3, because then we'll dive into all those factors that affect it. So those are that's the checklist that we then have to look at if you aren't converting, whether it's a genetic SNP that prevents that deiodinization of T4 to T3. You have conversion issues, iron, high insulin, high estrogen. You can go back and listen to that. We'll link to that in the show notes. But hopefully that helps you. Please share this with anybody that you know that needs it. And please subscribe to my podcast, The Thyroid Fix, that you can find on any podcast platform. So you just search for it, subscribe, write me a review if you can, if you're on Apple Tunes, iTunes or Apple Podcasts. And I will see you in the next video or on the next podcast.